Hey YouTube, so here we are back to the Jeep, and let me just give you a little bit of an explanation as to what's taken place here so far. First of all, I made the cut, and this is the original panel that came with the truck, so I'm cleaned up along that. The edge is not too bad, a little bit on the top here was rusted, but the rest of it's not looking bad. Cleaned up this brace, and this was bad. Now this, if you look inside there, that's actually the wheel well, the interior of the wheel well in the Jeep, and this flange all along here was gone. So it was good from here to about here, and then I replaced the rest of it there. So I put a new flange on there, and then what I did with the panel, now you can see, for most intents and purposes, the panel's done. It's bent on both sides and all. But on the back of it, what I did was I tacked on a strip there, and I'll tell you why I did that. I'm going to have to be able to drill some holes through this panel to get it to weld to this inner fender well here. Okay, to spot weld it to this, and also to this right here has to be spot welded. So anyway, let me get the what do you call it here, the tripod, so I can show you what I'm going to do with this thing. Sorry about this, guys. Like I said, I'm not a real movie maker here. I'm just trying. Alright, so I'll show you what I got here. So the panel here, I've tacked this strip on to use that as a support to go up underneath this and hold this. And then I'll be able to drill holes through it, and because it's being pinched in here, it'll hold this forward so that I can get some good welding. So in order to get this together, I've got to push in on it, and just have to be like that. So that's how that panel will be. So now, since I have these weld marks here, I know that slightly above that, in fact there is a weld mark right there, that circle, I can actually drill a couple of holes in here and weld against the piece that I showed you that I replaced. And I also have a pencil line here and one here. You can't see it on the camera, but that point, and then I have another, besides this one I have another one down here, and that point I can drill and spot weld onto that brace that's in there. And then once I do that, this thing will be perfect. I mean, the panel fits nice. You can see, I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's barely a gap there. And the side panel here, this is a little wide here. I can probably pull this over, but put a little putty in here or some fiberglass, and I'll be able to fix that up. So this is ready to put on there. And it's obviously, the fact that it's holding itself up there shows you that the panel is pretty much in the shape it needs to be. So like I say, it has to be a little bit higher and a little bit more this way. To give you an idea here also, you're not going to see this. This is actually on the outside of the fender well. So what I'm going to do with the back of this panel is I'm going to put POR15 on it, since I'm doing basically spot welds. I will keep the POR15 down a little bit low here so that it doesn't get a lot of fumes or anything when I'm welding this along the top. But you can see that I've bent this. It came out pretty nice. The curvature is not bad. It's nice. I mean, it's going to be hidden by that rubber fender well anyway. But what I was thinking here is this little fish mouth, and I hope you can see this, where this comes here. I was going to cut this off and make a steady curve here, but I thought about it, and actually having that curve there causes dirt to sit there because it's at 2 points at a junction. I'm just going to leave this like this. It's more like a funnel, and the water will run out there. And really, when the panel's in place, you can't see that. So I'm just going to weld that in there. And that piece that was at the top here, this, I replaced this. So it was just a small little bit that the metal didn't reach to. I also tacked the holes closed that were for the snaps for the canvas top, because she doesn't want that canvas top to be used. So I have a couple more to do. I'll do them. And that's it. Once I put that up there, I'm going to put some POR15 behind a lot of this stuff before I put it up. And then once I do that, I'll tack everything together, then I'll weld that, and I'll put some fiberglass resin on it, which I'll show you after I get this panel welded in place. So I thought that this was a good idea here because it actually helps to support this inner fender well, which before I put this piece on was really flopping in the breeze there. So this piece that I have on here, I'll clean this up, I'll paint everything, and that will hold this piece not only up, but it will hold it towards the panel, so that when I drill into it, I can get a nice tack in there, and then or a nice spot weld, and then I should be in good shape with it. So that's basically what I do when I make these panels. This being 16 gauge for the Jeep, because the Jeep is only a single panel to the inside. Normally you can get away with 18 gauge for cars, and you can also use 20 gauge. 20 gauge isn't too bad. Once you start getting, thinner than 20 gauge, you're working with something like stovepipe, which isn't really good enough. So 20 gauge I would say would be the minimum, but for this Jeep, this 16 gauge is very good, and I think that it's going to be a nice solid job, and there won't be any problems with it down the road. So, and you can see how this panel, there's a little bit of a bend in it, but that bend is not going to bother me, because as I push on it, what happened was the panel was nice and straight before I welded this, and the welding of this also changes the structure of the metal and causes it to bend a little, but it didn't bend much. However, when I put it against this up here, I mean, all I need to do is put a little weight against it, and it really comes pretty close to that thing. So I'll be able to hold that together there. I can put a clamp and grab a hold of this and everything. And that'll be about it for this panel. Of course, there's a bunch of other places I want to put metal. I'm not sure if this is a hole in here. I didn't look from the inside. I'm really surprised, like I said before, that when you cut this, you're in the Jeep. I thought there was at least an inner panel somewhere, but there are no inner panels. The inner panel is the outer panel. So, alright, so anyway guys, that's where I'm at with the Jeep so far. I'm going to put some POR15 on this, because you're not going to see any of this that's clipped in underneath the fender, and we'll be in good shape. Okay, so have a good one. Bye.